Karens have to be the bravest people on earth, so today we'll be looking at them going God mode on court-martials. Let's jump into it. First up, the following woman had a Karen moment once she heard that her bond was denied.
No bond.
¡No! ¡Me tengo que ir a la cárcel así! ¡Pero mi marido me pegó! ¡Si eres el que me rompió la pierna! ¡Por favor! ¡My husband broke my leg! ¡Please, no! ¡No! ¡Don't do that! ¡I have my leg broke! ¡No! ¡Please! ¡Don't do that! ¡Don't do that! ¡No! ¡No! ¡Please! ¡No!
She's crying and screaming, "He broke my leg." She told police she stabbed her husband to death because he abused her.
She ended up getting life in prison. We now have a man who just couldn't handle his sentence in court.
As someone who identified herself as his sister rushed to his side screaming obscenities, 24-year-old Ronnie Amadon had to be dragged from Laconia District Court. Amadon was arrested last night at an apartment on Union Avenue.
They actually had to drag him out of court. Next, we have an 11-year-old boy who clearly doesn't know how to act like an 11-year-old boy.
So a week before he was arrested, he brought those weapons to school, but fortunately, school leaders found them before he was able to do anything.
Coach me. Get the up.
Outburst in court today after the court commissioner made a decision to keep the 11-year-old locked up in juvenile court. Prosecutors today say the boy had brought the gun to school 2 times before it was discovered, and they say he was planning to shoot several people after school that day, not just the one other student as previously mentioned.
You know, those issues are not going to go away. I see him as a risk to himself. I see him as a risk to others.
An evaluation determined he does suffer from mental health issues, including suicidal thoughts.
He has had a long history of behavior outbursts. I think that based on parent reports and clinical reports, these outbursts have increased in the last year.
Do you guys think it comes down to bad parenting at the end of the day? Anyways, we now have Robert Howes. He was in court for multiple offenses, and this was his sentencing.
Clearly, he didn't learn his lesson and was not rehabilitated, and I'm requesting that he receive the maximum sentence allowed by law. Unfortunately, my grandmother told me a long time ago, if you have nothing nice to say about somebody, don't say it, in your honor. At this point, I have nothing good to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I sentenced you to 11 years plus 3 years for the gun, count 8, the having a weapon while under disability. I sentenced you to 36 months. Counts 9 and 10, there are no sentences because they merged with count 5. Count 11, the disrupting public service, a felony in 4th degree, I sentenced you to 12 months.
Once that happened, this was Howes' reaction.
43 and a half years.
I don't think there's any half. 43 straight, right?
Get out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Now we have a woman who clearly didn't take her sentencing well.
Continue to February the 12th for probable cause hearing, pre-trial hearing. That'll be good on the 4th of all courtroom number 5. Thank you.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm telling you, I didn't do it.
Next, we have Jason Dalton. He interrupted a witness for the crime he committed, and this is what he had to say.
I saw the gun.
Interrogator car. These old people, they have these old black bags. They're called they're black. They're black bags. If people drive around and look at them, it gets real like, hey, it's time people look. And then that's when to tell people it's time to get to Temple.
Sure, you need to listen to your attorney, right?
Yeah, you need to get to Temple because you need to get going because it's called intimidator.
You need to be quiet in today's proceedings, okay?
Yeah.
If you have anything to say, you whisper to your attorney. That's today's rules, okay?
It got so bad that the guards had to get involved.
So, Ms. Crothers, are you okay? Or do we need to take a minute?
Take it.
All right, we're going to call a recess.
Take it.
If you would escort down into holding.
Yes.
Coming up next, we have Michelle Blair. She was in court for the murder of her children. She pleaded guilty, but they still gave her a life sentence. This was her reaction to it.
Everybody want to know, yes, I did kill her!
In a lightning bolt of emotion, Michelle Blair admits to killing her 13-year-old daughter, Stoney Blair, because she believed the teen and her 9-year-old son, whom she's also accused of murdering, had been harming her youngest child. Blair is charged with their murders, but the trial that began today is about the state attempting to terminate Blair's parental rights to her 2 surviving children.
There's just simply no excuse for what she did. Next, we have Eric Pendlin. He was in for something quite inhumane. Let's take a look.
Karen Lawson and her husband have been caring for disabled and abused children for many years. But in 2017, they began fostering the baby boy of Eric Pendlin, who last month was convicted of shaking the child so violently he's now permanently disabled.
Nothing prepared us for the screaming. Hours and hours of screaming.
Pendlin was in court this afternoon for sentencing on child endangering counts, but prosecutors say that's only because the baby never died from his injury. The little boy suffered traumatic brain damage and a broken neck that left him hearing impaired, nearly blind in both eyes, and unable to hold his own head up.
For the rest of his life, Eric will rely on others to bathe him, dress him, change his diapers, feed him.
Once the judge told him that he was going to spend over 11 years in prison, this was his reaction.
Man, I didn't do anything wrong, man.
Prosecutors tell me the little victim, who's now 2, was formally adopted by the Lawsons a few weeks ago and now lives out of the area.
Now have a Karen who just doesn't know when to stop. Apparently the court couldn't handle her either.
Personal life is your business, John. It has nothing to do with
Miss Hardwick,
No.
you will be held in contempt of this court if you become disruptive.
I don't care. I haven't done anything to this court. I haven't done anything to him.
She will be arrested for contempt of the court.
It doesn't make any difference.
You will serve 10 days for contempt of court. You go now.
Next up, we have a convict who goes by the name Bass Webb. He went to prison for countless crimes, and this is how he treated his judge.
This case, I have any further proceedings, or I have to see you for one further second. Set preliminary hearings next week.
The action clearly takes the judge by surprise. After initially dismissing Webb, the judge makes Webb stand and watch as she wipes the spit from her face. Then Dixon tells him she's seen enough.
But it didn't just stop there. Bass also caused this riot inside the Lexington Fayette County Detention Center.
Get away from that door! Lay down! Get on the ground!
Ended up getting 52 years in jail, then months later got sentenced to life for the murder of his late girlfriend.